Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who has blessed us with every spiritual blessing in heavenly places in Christ Jesus. Most welcome to Heart and Soul. Today we're exploring sports and faith, and we have in the studio a man who's a former national record holder in the 100 meters, but 9.98 seconds has stood from the 90s until recently when it was broken by Benjamin Kweku Azamati. There's none other name that comes to mind at this stage is Leo Myles-Mills, and he's here with us on Heart and Soul. Good day, most welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you doing? I mean, you just arrived fresh from the U.S., I guess.
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I've been in Kumasi. The past athletes, we are forming up some kind of association to help promote Ghana athletics more, you know, by organizing competitions. So I was in Kumasi. It was our first major maiden competition, and it went well. We could do better, but next year our goal is to make it every year. So as time goes on, we're going to improve. So thank you for being here, and I'm glad for the show.
For somebody who doesn't know you, for the youngsters, I mean, we were walking on the corridor. Some just passed you by. I was like, do they know this guy? Can you just give a little bit intro about you? Some know you as what? Babylonia, from Accra and all that.
Yes, I was born and bred here in Accra. I went to, just a little bit background. I went to Wesley Grammar Secondary, and then I transferred to Accra Academy. When I got there, I was playing soccer at Wesley Grammar. I'm the best soccer player, if you don't know, let me tell you.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm very good. So when I got to Accra Academy, my senior brother John had gone there, and he had the name Babylonia. Yeah, so when I got there, I started doing track and field instead of soccer. And then the name obviously got transferred onto me, and the Babylonia stayed. So my whole school days and national service days here in Ghana, I was known and called Babylonia, and that's stayed. From there, I got a scholarship to go to Brigham Young University, and I was there, graduated. They hired me on as a coach. Actually, I was training with the athletes that I was coaching, and I made my way to the Olympics. I went to Sydney 2000. Okay. Got to the semifinals, and made it to Athens as well, 2004. And then I've been coaching since, and I'm still in the sports. So all in short, that's Babylonia for you.
Is there a supernatural dimension in sports?
Athletes in general.
And while I was talking about that, we're going to show you the national record from boys.
That'll be great. Athletes in general, we are very superstitious.
Okay.
Every athlete is very heavily superstitious person.
Okay.
And I remember the day I ran my college record in the 60 meters.
6.45?
6.4, is it 5?
Yeah, 4.5.
Okay, that's great. I've been thinking it was 6.46. I wasn't even thinking my main goal was to win it. You know, time wasn't the factor, so my main goal was to win it, and that was it. For my breakfast that day, I had cereal. And it was granola cereal. I can't remember the name. But since that day, for my race, every race I go and run, I will make sure I had my cereal. You know, so that became something that I wouldn't say I believed in it, right? But it became something that I was more like I have to have that in order to perform well. If I don't perform well, then I blame it on something else. You know, so athletes in general, we are very superstitious. You know, if we trip on a rock, go into a competition, and then we end up playing well, we always want to find that rock and trip on it, right? And so it's weird. It is very weird. And so that, yes, athletes are very superstitious, but as to, we Africans believe in this juju and those kind of things. In track and field, I've heard about soccer, that it is in soccer, big time, you know. But in track and field, I don't know. I don't believe
Your
in
days at a cracker or
nothing.
Wesley,
Nothing. I
the national
can
team.
swear on my father's grave, nothing like that was going on. If you know how to do it, you are called on to do it. If you don't, you don't. There were some people who just their sheer enthusiasm for the game, the passion they have for track and field was just gonna ginger you to go on and do well, and they were just, I know what we call the training horses. They will help you. There were guys that were beating me at practice, but on the D-Day competition, then they kind of freeze. They can't do anything, And I like them. And I'm gonna give an example. His name is David Obing. My good friend Lee Babs is his name. Is his nickname, and very helpful, very encouraging, very very fun guy. Always want to compete. He loved athletics. Loved it. And he always likes to push us. And so when the D-Day comes for David to compete, or his performance on the track, we're like, David, you got to do well then, in a way, he helped us perform well, and the likes of Frederick Boedi and Ironman and all those guys, and Isaac, Asasi, Kojo Asasi.
Is it the one at Legon now?
No, he's
that's a different Asasi.
Yeah. And all those guys. I mean, we had our group, our crop of athletes that we stuck together, encouraged each other, and kind of promoted each other, if you should put it that way.
So psychologically, how did you get yourself up for the big events? Let's say at a cracker or the one we just saw on TV. As an athlete, how do you, what sort of motivation will come from the coach, from the university? I'm just trying to get into this because a lot of the youngsters we see out there today are having difficulties in that area.
Well, at Accra Academy, everything, we are Blair, right? Everything is competition. Everything is competition. You do this, somebody else want to do, show you bigger muscles. Like, everything was competition. So, in a way, we kind of ran the races there. At the Accra Sports Stadium. I call it the sports stadium. And so and then the fans, into halls. Each hall, come up, just throw out the fans out there, and the fans will be just going on, But then that kind of spirit will carry you on to, Accra Sports Stadium. When the entire school, somehow all the students will make their way out to the stadium. And when the Jama is flowing, I mean, you feel like you're walking on clouds. You're just poised to go and compete. And there's nothing else, And when I was injured, I wasn't able to compete. I remember we had a fresh student that came on, also transfer, and beat me into houses. And I remember Coach Sapo, the soccer,
Shapiro.
Yeah, Shapiro. Coach Sapo walked up to me. He was like, "What are you doing? How can you let an incoming person come and beat you?" I thought he was going to slap me that day, but that's how I got to know him. Very, very nice, affable person. And so the competition is always there, So we don't take things lightly at all. We are very jovial, but very competitive.
Let me take it to maybe the global level. Seoul Olympics. You were there?
So I did it. My senior brother was.
Okay. Now, I've listened to an interview with Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson was a top Canadian sprinter those days who were caught in doping. Originally a Jamaican with that route coming up. Now, he says he was deeply religious when growing up. From a family background, the mom was always praying. But then he gets into the professional ranks in athletics and he saw nothing wrong with doping because he felt everybody was doing it. And so why don't I do it? And this is a contradiction that sports brings. A lot of people see the sportsmen and women talking all about Jesus, Muhammad, and all that, and then they see their actions and they see a contradiction.
Once I heard someone say that they should do 2 Olympic Games. One for the drug athletes and one for us who don't do the drugs. And then let's see how well it goes, I was once accused of being on drugs. That's why I was able to run in 9.98 seconds. And I told that person that if I am on drugs, whichever pharmaceutical company that was sponsoring me, I was a disgrace to them because all I could run was 9.98 at that time.
And at that time, you were the first Ghanaian to have dipped.
That's true.
Below 10.
That's true. But I'm talking about the drug aspect of it. If I was doing that for a pharmaceutical company, I must be a disgraced person to them because all I could run was 9.98 when others were running 9.79 and 9 point whatnot, you know. So the drug has been an issue in sports. They are doing really like fighting hard to prevent it from happening. But I don't think drug would ever go away from sports. It will always be there. Some have their ways of masking it. You know, they know the system. They know the system. Some get away, some don't. Some get caught, they go and spend 6 months to a year, they come back. Okaberry, for instance, Blessing.
11 years.
Now they've banned him for 11 years, which I think is a little bit ridiculous, but that's not the discussion here. Some have done worse, and yet they only get a slap on the wrist, and they come back. And they're still out there throwing their hands in the air as if they are the goddesses of track. Meanwhile, they're not. And it kind of hurts because you are there training hard. I remember when I was in school, I was fighting with my doctor because I got hurt. He was trying to inject me with cortisone, which had steroid in it. And when I heard the steroid, I said no. And he said, the amount I'm giving you, or in the cortisone shot, I have to give you maybe 1,000 doses of what I'm giving you for you to test positive. If you should be tested. But just for the fact that hearing the steroid, I'm like, no, I don't do it. Give me something less. If it's going to take me 3 months to recover, 3 months it is.
But is there any system that would have also said maybe you should have stated all these things even before the race started? Some kind of official checklist?
Yes, they do. They had a out of competition test.
Okay.
So IAAF at that time, IAAF had a website you have to go to. You fill out forms. So you have to indicate, because we tend to travel to train at places. You have to indicate and notify them wherever you are. Because that was the excuse some of the athletes were using when they were doping. When the agent goes here, comes here, at your station, said, "Oh no, I was at TV3." They say, "Oh no, I was at here." No, I was. Meanwhile, they just give you the runaround.
Yeah.
And so they said, "No, you have to indicate." So some of these drug guys, sorry to term them that way, but some of them use that to hide from the drug agents.
Okay, we'll see your clip again. We'll see the slow motion, and that is where maybe I will have questions maybe for you to tell us about the technique, how you came out of the blocks, which is a problematic area for a lot of our home-based athletes. I will see here, at this time, what is going through your mind?
Oh, just excited. Just excitement.
Okay, so we see the slow motion. Okay. Your legs were a little bit far.
The start wasn't the best. My strides were too wide out, and that cost me a lot out there. You wouldn't believe that 3, 4, 5 strides out there cost me a lot of time. And out here, my strides are still long. I should mold myself, cut it shorter, and get turnover in it. If the car engineers will side with me, what they call the pistons. So in coaching, we do use the term pistons, which means your stride has to be not pum pum pum. That long stride slows you down. That's right. So you need what we call turnover. You got to turn.
But is adrenaline just running to you?
Oh yes.
You see somebody coming, so let me just do something.
No. That's what causes a lot of guys to just tense up, and you see them leading, and all of a sudden they are last. Everybody comes, people come from behind and pass them. You just have to stay focused. Stay focused, run your race. I remember before I walked onto the track, my coach came up to me, he goes, and that's how we train. I get in the blocks, he goes, "Hey, Leonard." Meaning stay focused. That's it.
You've been coach of the national team, so you tell the boys the same thing.
Same thing.
We've seen Azamati, we've seen Joe Paul.
Same thing.
How do you I mean, we still see them tensed up in the tracks.
You will. I don't care who you are. You will still tense up. The tension comes in out of nervousness, out of you would like, oh shoot, maybe my start didn't go the way I wanted. So all of a sudden you just panic. And instead of, swinging your arms here like that, all of a sudden you start going this way, and it's just going to cost you, it's just going to cost you badly. But you just, like you said, here and there, stay focused. Do your my start in that race, for instance, I knew was bad. But I wasn't. This is not soccer. This is not basketball.
You were like Usain Bolt coming out of the blocks.
This is not basketball, where you say time out. Let's go back. My athlete didn't get a good start. Let's go back and start it. No.
But don't be too hard on yourself. We know how the execution goes sometimes. But the great thing is,
the guy that came second, he was he thought he was going to win. Let's say that.
Yeah, he was really breathing down your neck. Yeah.
And then John Capel. Kobe Miller, I remember them all. They were like, yeah, we're here to win. I won it a year before.
Yes.
In 98.
Yes.
And they said it was a fluke. I was fake. I was this. So going back, and that was my senior year in college.
Yeah.
So my whole goal and my whole purpose was to win it. Time wasn't a factor at all. That time, I did not train for time. I trained to go and win, beat them all out there. And that's what happened. And when I finished, I didn't even look on the board. And when my coach, my assistant coach was standing on the side there, he said, hey, turn around, look on the board, look. And that's when I saw the time out there. I was like, oh.
The first Ghanaian to do a sub 10. And at the point you had the African indoor record to 6.45. I was checking it up today. That's Leo Myles-Mills in the studio. We'll be doing a break quickly, but looking at that once again, and then right there on the finish line, he raises his hand. I'm sure your coach was not too happy about that.
No, he wasn't.
Shelley and Fraser Prize did a similar thing in 2015. And recently in Ghana, Mary Boachi, who's a top speedster for Ghana, with the best time 11.56 this year, also did a similar celebration. All right, so it leads us to the Did You Know segment of Heart and Soul. And today we are picking our thoughts from Wade van Niekerk, a Christian based in South Africa, who's a world record for 400 meters, 43.03. And so this is what he said, and I'll just repeat it as we see the graphics on screen. He says, I just thank God for continuously helping me go through each and every competition healthy and strong. And for every race as well, I pray that all my competitors are healthy and come over the line healthy. Wow. And I think our prayers were answered today. That is, he made these comments, Leo, after setting the world record. He's not only thinking about himself, he's thinking about others. And you go through his history. He had a long injury layoff before coming back and then hitting the limelight. And everything he says, he ascribes God to everything. He says, I'll just go on the track and ask the Holy Ghost to take over. And then I'm able to do it and do the records. How real is this?
It is real. Your belief, your faith is all in you. If you don't have that, everything you do is waste. Without Christ, you are nothing. You are nothing. We go to bed at night. We know when we entered into the bed. We got on the bed to sleep. But when we actually fell asleep and slept, we don't know when. The next thing you hear are the cocks crowing and the birds chirping, and get up and oh God, how were you able to do that? You didn't get up with your own might and will. I don't know. The man above knows us. He made us. He made us. And he just says we should just give him thanks and praises. Attitude and gratitude is everything. In competition, my bigger brother always tells me, hard training, luck. Hard training plus luck equals success. I've trained hard in my life. I've been to competitions where I've come dead last in the race. And I said my prayers. So I go back and say, Heavenly Father, why did you make me come last? But it's all a lesson and faith. Did that make me lose my faith in him? Hell no.
Why didn't you lose your faith? Because others easily lose it.
Yeah, people just say,
if the old man above really cares about me, then
he said he doesn't exist. I hear things go on, and I sit there and I said, if you don't believe in him, don't go around spreading him that you don't believe in him, and then it's falsehood. His date of birth is this, and he said that, and he lied, and he's this. And I'm sitting there listening, and I'm like, are you sure about what you're saying? You know, I don't want to mention names out here, but I believe in him. You can't take that away from me. None of your producers out here can take that away from me.
What is the basis of your belief in him?
Things he has done that I cannot explain.
Like what?
The creation of this earth that we are in. How did it come about? How were you made? We know how cars are made, right? Where did those who made it, where did they get the knowledge from? You know what I'm saying? And they know the parts that goes here, that makes this, that makes that. Christ made you. You know, no scientist taught Christ that you got to put an intestine to go around the person's, stomach. The colon should come down here. Put the spleen down here. Put the pancreas there. Put the bile here. No. He made. I mean, just for that one alone, nobody can make that. Who has made a human being?
Your mom and dad got together and then you came out?
Who made them?
Okay. Your grandfather?
Who made him? It goes on and on and on, So, I mean, when I said that, I meant we know how we produce, right? But how did we come into being? That's the question. We know he created.
Scientists say there was a Big Bang theory.
Yeah.
Gases, matter, all of a sudden came together. There was a big, loud explosion. And
how did that happen? There is a supernatural being somewhere. There is someone greater. If I wouldn't exaggerate, whose hands, when he reaches out, would encompass the whole world. And if such a person has made you, who are you to challenge him?
All right, we'll do a quick break. And when we come back, we'll just have a few case studies to throw at Leo, and then we'll take his thoughts after this. You're most welcome back to Heart and Soul. My guest today is Leo Myles-Mills, former national 100-meter record holder, and he did it for several years, decades on. Leo, so we're talking about the national team, and now we have a lot of boys who have come into the system, and they also talk about their faith, their belief, and all that. And you are the coach, the national team coach. So how do you inspire these boys? And I'm sure whilst talking, a lot of people, a lot of athletes also within that domain will be picking up thoughts. What do you think about the current generation? And we'll pick this clip from Morocco at the African Games when they won gold.
Ghana, we are so blessed in every corner, every aspect, and anything and everything. We have, it's been a while since I saw a competition here locally. And being in Kumasi last week and then at Cape Coast last Friday, it just brings me joy seeing the talent, the pool of talent that we have. We're going to keep producing. We're going to keep producing. I remember some time ago somebody was asking me about, do we have a Usain Bolt in the country? Do we have somebody who could run a 9.9 in the country?
We see this boy, Benjamin Kweku Azamati, home base, University of Ghana. He had not gone nowhere. And this is how he ran.
You see, his coach, this is
Martin Owusu.
Martin Owusu, yes.
In the curve, also from KNUST. So UG KNUST and then another KNUST, Joe Paul.
This is Joe Paul.
Finishing it off.
And that Nigerian guy was in top shape.
Oduduro.
Yeah, he had run some 9 point also over there and things like that. And, I think the 4x1, we should be the gods of Africa, we should. the countries you worship us. But unfortunately, things happen in sports. You do everything right. Like I said, you say your prayers right, you eat right. The D-Day comes, and then just the slightest, just a small mistake you do will cost you. At the Olympic Games like this, the exchange of the baton, just a slight mistake out there, just slightly, and then you get DQ'd. And it's a little bit disheartening, because you've done well, you've trained well, all hopes are on you, and when it comes to the relay, my goal is to make it to finals and finish. Because anything can happen. Somebody can get DQ'd. You go from last to first. You could go from last to first. So I just say just pass it along safely, finish safely, and the rest is will be history.
Okay, we'll just pick this last video clip, and it's coming from the World Championship. There was this U.S. artistic swimmer. Her name is Anita Alvarez. At a point in her event, she actually started sinking in the swimming pool, and her coach, sensing danger, dived into the swimming pool and make sure she was, pulled out alive. There are a lot of things in here. When you see this, and we see the clip from ITV News, so at this stage she's doing what she has to do, and we're just bringing this clip to highlight something: the dangers of sports. You can actually die in sports while doing it.
Obviously.
So we hear from Wade Van Niekerk and others who say that it's better to have your faith. It's better to have a base from where you pick up from. But at this stage, everybody's getting, and there she is going down. So the coach just had to dive in and make sure she's safe. The lifeguards then had to come in, and So this is it. This is life. And at the end, she said this was not the first time; it was the second time. So she sensed danger and had to just go in there, and this is it.
Yeah, you see, somebody like this, she may have some medical history, and the U.S. doctors being good, probably have run tests on her and everything, and the training she's going through, says she should be fine. And like I said, some of the works of our believer, you don't know why he made that happen. Maybe he would have been struck by a vehicle and be dead right there, but here it did happen and she was saved. So no, does accident happen in sports? All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. I mean, soccer is a contact sport. You go and somebody will just swoop you. If you don't land well, you kind of sprain your ankle, break it. Your career for that year is done. The league is over, and all things like that. Athletics, the same thing. Pull hamstring. If you're lucky, you could recover. If not, it could take you a whole year. You could pull your groin, pull it. A whole lot of things happen.
Okay.
A whole lot of things happen.
Leo, thank you so much. I just wish we'd be able to keep you here a little bit longer, but we'll need to thank you again and for making time to come on Hearten. So we sign off with this social media post by one of our followers on Lifestyle TV Facebook. Actually was so excited that day we posted one of the update on what we were going to do, and it says something he looks forward to every Saturday at 11 a.m. His name is Checha. And so we sign off by saying life is a test, it's a trust, it's very temporal. So seek your maker while you have your being. Give your life to Christ. Good day till we meet again. Bye for now.